Hey there, sports fans. Welcome back. The long-anticipated return of Dinner with the Captain. We took a little hiatus there for the first couple of weeks of the playoffs. Captain, welcome back. What you been up to?
Oh, man, been busy. Been with the short weeks. That's kind of why it's been tough to get after this. It's not like any superstition thing or anything. It's just like the short weeks we've been, turning around and trying to get back and, playing again on Fridays. So it's tough.
Well, and that's what we talked about, right? I think one of the last episodes is you play all season, you get first place, and then they're sticking you on a Friday night. But, that goes well with the TSN and ESPN broadcast schedules. They like the lacrosse on the Friday night. We like the lacrosse on Saturday nights, just out of creatures of habit.
And I think it's easier for people to get to the games, not necessarily having to work till 5 and then try to make it over to the game. It makes the day a little busier. But in terms of scheduling, man, if you only really get that Thursday to Sunday to schedule games within as a league, it kind of works out better, for travel wise and stuff, play the Friday, Sunday instead of Saturday, Sunday and have a
right. And I think that's where we'll start. Well, we've been gone for a little while, but so we've got a couple of games to go over, but I think we start sort of with the recent stuff, right? So you had the Vancouver Warriors, the hot Vancouver Warriors, 7-0 coming in to face you guys. Delbianco doing everything that was advertised, taking that team, and bringing them into the NLL semifinals, and then they ran into the juggernaut that is the Buffalo Bandits. We could start with the final game in Vancouver, or maybe we just sort of recap the weekend, the 9-3 historic 9-3 game.
Is it historic?
It was low, right?
Low end, yeah.
So tied his own record.
Vino?
Nice. Of least amount of goals allowed in
Sweet.
a playoff game after a week where he only let in 4.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about how you guys prepared for Vancouver.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's like, not to go too far back, but after the 2019 loss, I remember talking to Greg Harnett, who was a part of the Roughnecks, and he was saying, he's like, there was so much noise around Buffalo being the best team. He's like, we just shut all that out and used it as fuel to go. And like, I know, like,
so were you worried about that this time around?
Well, this is the thing, is it's like the world might not agree, but I feel like media wise there was a lot of talk around the undefeated Vancouver Warriors, right? And it was like Delbianco coming in and the saving grace and him being this unstoppable force and this and that. And to us, it was just noise.
6-4 down the road kind of thing for you guys. Like, there's the Bandits are maybe peaked at 7-0 and at the start of the season. And were you guys using some of that as fire then?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Was like, it was like, just take what the media is saying about how good they are, and let's just, we're not going to say anything, or just keep our heads down and put nose to the grindstone and use that as fuel and fire, because and it's not saying that was the difference maker, but it's like the media can get in your head, right? You can sway you one way or another, right? You're sitting there going like, oh man, they actually haven't lost in 7 games, and they actually haven't done all these. They've been playing way too good, and that could weigh on you, right? But if you take that and flip it, that was important for us, right? So, the media was saying it's going to be an all-Canadian finals, and it's going to be like all-Canadian team finals, and they're talking about how Halifax is going to go to the finals, and it's going to be Halifax. We just let all that just fuel us, and that's what it needs, right? Because they're a good, strong, big team. Like they're an incredible team, right? And they beat on you, and you have to have some sort of mental thing to go back to keep taking that punishment. Like if you look at the guys' arms after the games, man, guys are just bruised all up and down, and it's like big bruises and big smiles.
Yeah, right. It sort of goes hand in hand. Now, in preparation for this game, did you guys take a look at like Vancouver pre-Delbianco and then Vancouver after Delbianco to try to maybe identify if they had done anything differently other than add a all-world goaltender?
That probably would have been smart.
Lacrosse players, good dudes, never been.
We didn't do that, but I did go back to. I stopped watching other teams playing them, and I went back to like the game that we played them and what we could do better, like on our side of things, and what worked and what didn't against them. Because if you watch just the Rochester, the quarterfinals, Rochester-Vancouver game, Vancouver exposed a lot of sort of holes, and I'm like, but that's not the way we play. So I'm not learning a ton off of that, right? I have to go back to like us playing them, and what we can learn, what they did to break us down, and what we did that worked, and hopefully implement more things that worked.
Well, and you obviously did. So without giving away, I don't think giving away secrets, because Vancouver's been dispatched. Did you see something That, I mean, because again, you let in 12 goals against them in their victory in Buffalo, and that had to give them a measure of confidence to come in. And then, I mean, you stomped them, right? Like they didn't get anything. Scoring 3 goals in lacrosse, like that's
3 power play goals too, right? So. Yeah, it was. I can't speak too much to the offense. There's some things I picked up that they were doing, but it was honestly, it was a little bit confusing for me what they were trying to do, because they were being prevented from setting picks.
Right.
So they were actually having a pretty tough time getting to like Bucky was talking about, trying to get to Dane and get Dane open, and it's like it was hard because they were preventing them from going to set those picks. So they had to come up with something different, and I don't really know what it was, but it ended up with Chase being open in front of the net, and these guys open. They locked off Josh, so then you needed Mickey to step up. You needed Kluche to step up, right? So we're fortunate we have an offense that can be threats from all 5 positions, and that's kind of what we needed against these guys.
Well, you guys have demonstrated, right? Connor Fields was a guy he's kind of 3rd, 4th on the depth chart with the Bandits. He goes to Rochester, and now he's setting records, right?
Exactly.
Like, I mean, we can get to that.
We say that a lot about our guys on our team.
Yeah.
Like our offense, like literally any one of those guys could be you could run an offense around them, right? And that's what's kind of so special about us is everybody's willing to check their ego at the door and go, like, look at a guy like Chase, right? You're sitting there going, everything could go through him, right? But it doesn't on our team. But he knows his opportunities. He knows when to take them. He knows what he can do, and that's when he ends up with those highlight reel goals. Right?
Does he know that he can do about between the legs, like
that's what I was laughing.
Corner,
so because it was on the Pat McAfee show, right?
Well, I mean, we watched it, and it was just stunning.
And I was talking to Chase about it. I'm like, well, Chase, do you think you should send him the other 10 highlight reel goals that are even better than that one?
Right?
Like, really, right? Like, the guy scores highlight reel goals. That's what he does.
It really is, and we can get to that. But 9-3.
Defensively, you want to talk about what we did?
Yeah, well, so that's it. Like,
Yeah.
you're talking about offense, but like, what team wouldn't want 6'6" Steve Priolo, 6'6" Paul Dawson, 6'5" Cam Wires?
Oh yeah,
like those. I mean, you're talking about A1 guys on any other team, right? Like, I mean, obviously, lots of teams have really good guys, but I mean, those are 3 guys that, to me, stand out not just by stature, but because of the way they play the game.
Yeah, and we also have our values, right? So it's important for us to make adjustments on teams that fit within our values on defense, right? So, again, it's not giving too much away because the series is over, but it was very clear with Keegan Ball where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do, and so for us, we really needed to take those extra steps out of our comfort zone a little bit, but still within our values of where we want to push guys and pressure them, right? And knowing what Kevin Crowley's going to do and know what these guys are going to do. So,
does it give away to that when I ask, like, what are those values?
So for us, it's to basically give Vino the shots he wants, right? And
that should be the values of every team, right?
And it is. So like if you have a goalie like Dougie Jamieson or Dylan Ward, like they kind of allow guys to sweep over the top, and because those are big blockers that want to save those. So those offensive guys sweep over the top. Their defense stays super tight, and they shoot these shots, and it allows, like, if you watch Dylan Ward play goalie, like he's standing at the top of his crease.
Yeah.
So they take away quick sticks. Whereas for us, it's almost the reverse of that. We sort of get guys going down the lane, and we almost give up those quick sticks. That allows Vino to sort of stay on his line and stay flat if he needs to, and we keep that pressure on him. That being said, we adjusted very differently for the San Diego game. We went. So for San Diego, against them, they really wanted to get over top, and there's the way that they set picks. Now it's gonna get complicated. So
that's okay. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So if you watch like Westberg with the ball in those San Diego games, he would line up at the half boards, and then 33 Leclerc would kind of set an up pick, and then he would hook around and set a re-pick on the top side of you, and that would allow Westberg to sweep over top, right? So normally if you watch like the Albany game against them, that up pick would come, they would go over top of the pick and keep pressure on Berg to get him to going down the lane. But then that re-pick would come and he would get hit again, and then there was no help at that point. So for us, what we did was we just opened and accepted that and basically dared him to shoot that ball through traffic.
Right.
So if he was to re-attack over top, maybe I can find a clip and put it in here.
Yeah.
If he was to re-attack over top, then because we opened on the pick, we were already topside on the pick on the defense on the offense. So if he was to re-attack, we would already be there.
Right.
So we made that adjustment on them, but then we did the opposite of that on Keegan Ball, where we kept him down the lane, forced him to the net, dared him to go to the net, because we would meet him with a slide, and basically said, if you want to go to the net, it's going to be a long night for you, so you better just stay to the outside.
Two different kinds of players, right?
Very different types
physically,
of players,
and just even the way that they play it, right? Westberg's big dude, and Keegan is fast.
But Keegan will shoot that shot, so that's where it comes down to, is like, we dared Westberg to shoot that. He wanted to get to the middle of the shoot.
Yeah.
From those corners and from those weird spots, Keegan Ball can score. So we were like, we can't really give him those shots that we would otherwise give to other players that are like Keegan Ball's too good of a shooter. So we were like, we have to stay on him and get the ball out of his stick, and if he wants to go to the net, dare him to go to the net, because we'll meet him there. I know that's complicated for people, but it's like, those are the little adjustments. Is basically whether you're staying over top of the pick and keeping pressure, or are you going over top of the pick and switching? So it's basically a switch or a stay.
Well, and regardless of how complicated, because again, it gets more and more complicated as you're going up. The key to it is understanding your values, as you said, as a team going into it, so that right? You're communicating. Okay, this is what we're going to do for this guy. And now we know, right?
Exactly.
And sort of take some of that complication away from it, right?
And what we've done nicely in these playoffs is we've switched what we're doing, even based on the righties or lefties. So we played Keegan Ball and Crowley different than we played Martel and Charlene Beatties,
right? Because
they wanted to really get underneath and go to the net. And so if we gave them the lane that we were given to Keegan Ball, if we gave it to those guys, they'd be crease diving all day. And you can see that there was a couple times they made us pay.
Yeah. Well, Charlene Beatties, he's going to be a player, eh? Like that guy's.
This team's going to be threats.
I think they even said it on the broadcast. This was a team that seemed to be a couple of years ahead of where they thought, just because I don't think they were expecting Delbianco to become available the way he did at the time that he did.
Yeah.
Right? Like they are a couple of years away, but you put Delbianco back there, and
all of a sudden they're in court, semifinals against Buffalo, right? It's like you want to think like, wonder if they didn't match up against us, where you know what I mean? So I don't know, but
you give them another couple of weeks of the season, right? Maybe they're coming to face you guys in the finals because they managed to get themselves up into that third spot.
Yeah.
So 9-3 game in Buffalo. Could talk a little bit about the atmosphere in Buffalo for that semifinal game. I think.
Oh my gosh, dude! Like, the semifinals and the quarterfinal games were crazy, but that's what we've been expecting this year. Like, it's Buffalo's been showing up, man. They're showing up. They're spending their hard-earned money to come out and support us.
And so maybe this is where we do take a little bit of a dive back to that quarterfinal game, because for me, I mean, obviously you got a personal investment in the game, but not anywhere close to what the players obviously do. And the people in the stands, 5-3 for a good portion of that second half.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Like we had a little bit of a watch party, and everybody's on pins and needles. It's the quietest Xavier and Gabe have been in ages, and in fact, I think it got so stressful that Xavier couldn't watch it anymore. It was hard. What was it like in the arena, on the bench?
It was
like, did you notice? Like, I mean, were you guys conscious of just?
Well, normally we were just like, okay, wait for the offense to go off.
Yeah.
But they didn't score in the second half.
Yeah.
They didn't They scored 5 in the first half, but just didn't score the rest of the game.
It's wild.
Like, that's nuts.
Well, and I think even Vino said it.
We should have. We very well could have lost that game.
Yeah. Right.
That's nuts.
And again, I always get I can't pronounce his name, but the goaltender in
Allegrieri,
yeah. Right. Like he let in 5 and lost. Didn't shut out in the second half and lost.
I know. Well, this is like, everybody talks about how we need more goals in lacrosse. We need it to be faster. We need guys flying through the air. All the rule changes have been to limit defense, make the nets bigger, make the goalies smaller, limit what defense can do. We need more goals. We need more goals. We need more goals. And you're sitting there going like, oh, that was a 8-goal game for most of it, and 9-goal really at the end of the day. And one of the most exciting, everybody is texting me like, that was incredible. That was one of the most exciting things I've ever seen. So it just goes to show you that it's not goals that are making the difference. It's like close competitive games.
Well, and again, and action-packed, hard.
Action-packed.
Like that, I mean, to me sitting there, it looked like that had to have been one of the hardest games to play on either side of the ball for a long, long time. Like,
dude, a do or die game against like the Seals and
they picked you up the full court, and I said to the boys, well, in the second half they're going to have to dial this back because they're going to have nothing left and they just kept coming.
That's like they have a lot of midfield sort of D guys that play field lacrosse midfield guys.
Yeah,
like Danny Logan. It's just everyone talks about him in the open field can cover guys. So you put them in a box and you're sitting there going, all right, now Dane needs to run the ball out against probably the best midfield defender in the world right now. It's like, you're trapped. You can't go anywhere. You can't get away from him. He's too athletic, too good, puts you into bad spots. And, we were fortunate. We had, like, that one time Dane got doubled and Mickey got that ball and scored that massive goal. Like,
huge.
Like, what are the chances? That easily could have been a turnover and went the other way, right? So they were pressing up. They were taking their skill set and running with it. We were fortunate that we were able to counter as much as we did. Like,
to me, it looked like it was San Diego was able to implement their game plan on you guys, and you just fortunately, a bounce that went your way, but also I think talent in the end sort of took the day, even though it was a 5-4. Really probably a 5-3 game. Ultimately, it was the talent, right? They couldn't get over the hump of you guys and your defense and just how big you guys are. And you guys took advantage of the few mistakes that they were able to make, were able to outrun them in a couple of instances and then shut it down. Could you feel the nervous energy in the arena?
Not really, to be honest. Like, maybe some guys, but not me. I was able to. I was so like mission oriented that it was because I moved. I don't know if people know this, but when you're on defense, if I'm a right-handed defender, I play against their left-handed players. Right. So for me to go over and play on their right-handed defenders is like a out of the ordinary move, right? It puts me in a defensive on defense, I'm at a disadvantage.
It has your natural stick is now no longer in the middle of the floor, right?
Exactly.
It's now on the outside. So
exactly.
You're playing a lot of one hand.
You want your head of your stick upfield.
Yep.
Right. So I didn't have that, and I'm kind of in an awkward spot. But they run everything through their righties, right? So when our coaching staff was like, "Hey, Steve, what do you think about going over there? You've been playing with Paul and Weiser all year." And all last year, and it's like, how about going over there and playing with Justin Martin and Cam Wires and Whitty and these guys? And it's like, yeah, everything goes through them. So we had that again. We had that open adjustment that we were making where we would open on those up picks and making sure that Benesh on the lefties, our righty D, their lefty O, they couldn't swing the ball to Benesh because he's a very good shooter.
Yep. And
then just keep the pressure on those righties and make sure they couldn't do anything. And like they get runs too. They get runs at you for setting picks. So 33, Leclerc and Ben McIntosh, they want to kind of come in and go through the middle and then straight across east-west and blow you up, right? Yep. So a big thing we did too is meet them early. So as soon as you would see McIntosh or Leclerc come on the floor, we would pick them up and push them off their line. Make sure they couldn't get a run at the guy to set the pick because they really wanted to do that, right? Which is very different than like the Vancouver game where they would kind of run in and all go on the outside and set up into their offense and then run a play. That was different than San Diego. San Diego would just attack right out of the nonstop. So it was like about meeting them super early, push them off the line, make them uncomfortable, and then once you're in your rotation, then we're all settled and fine. And
then you talk about the goalies, right? And often they get sort of big bodies and they just block and stuff like that. But two guys that clearly are not big bodies, two guys that are acrobatic and making saves, and that's what they did, right? Like both sides of the ball.
Well, Delbs and Vino, and Alighieri too, right? He moves around a bunch too. He's a good goalie. He's a good upcomer, man. Like active goalies.
So it just adds to that excitement. I feel like, right? Like because again, the goalies are moving now, right? And that's something that I think people when they're watching, they understand like that was a big save, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to again a big blocker being in the right spot.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he didn't do anything. It's like, no, he did a lot of things just before the shot arrived.
Totally.
But so super exciting game in that quarterfinal. Can you talk a little bit about the week leading up? Just only because, here you are. You're chasing a little bit of history. You're coming in. The pundits, the experts, whomever are pointing at, well, they're kind of limping in or whatever it might be. And now it's a one game do or die. To sort of put, I guess, an end to the run. Like
I was a nervous wreck, dude. You saw me at work here and all that. I was barely concentrating. I couldn't do anything. I was just all I would think about was lacrosse. Right? I kept saying to myself, like it's almost like I need it to be the second quarter.
Yeah.
Like I need this game to be started. I need to find a flow right now because there's all these things I'm doing in my head that I don't know if they're going to work or not, or I don't know how the game is going to go until I'm actually playing. So it's like, I think a lot of guys felt that way where it's like you need the game to start almost. It's you're preparing, and eventually you're like, okay, am I over preparing? Am I overthinking this? Like I'm making these adjustments. Do they even know that these adjustments are going to be made. Like, I don't know. So I was nervous. I just wanted to play. At that point, I felt prepared and healthy.
So in the end, the Friday schedule was a good thing.
I guess, yeah. Maybe another day would have been worse. Well, we won, so it was definitely
it worked perfect.
Yeah.
And we'll get to I got a schedule question for you too in just a few minutes. But so you get over that hurdle, right? Because it's that one game do or die, and that just I think carries a lot more weight, especially in the position that you guys are coming in.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It also feels like we're like, if we were to falter, we're coming from so high up. Right? Like we've been in the finals 2019, 2022, then we won 2023, 2024. So we're at the peak of our form. We have a bunch of older guys that I don't know what their future holds, right? So it's like if you were to falter in that do or die, like the crash is way too long, right?
Yeah.
When you think about San Diego or something that's like, they kind of beat up all year, snuck into playoffs. Like the fall for them is like, oh, we'll come back next year. We got everybody back. We're back next year. It's a little dip. For us, it felt like the world would have ended if we would have lost that do or die. You know, that way.
And a do or die, sometimes those things happen that are completely out of your control. Some guy's sick.
That's why you don't know. That's, coming out of that Georgia game, we had about friggin' 9 injuries. Yeah. So it's like, fortunate they were all taken care of sort of within the week. Nothing was too bad except for,
shout out to the Bandit Land training and medical staff. And
but it's just like, you feel like anything can happen in a do or die, and there's only so much you can control in a game, so it's nerve-wracking. Once you get into the series, it's not that the stress disappears, but the nerves are almost gone, because it's like, oh, now we're playing chess, now we're back into like our rhythm, now we can make adjustments. Like if there was an injury, you get the week off, you get another chance at it, and so it's So would you say you were less nervous then going into the semifinals now that like I don't think I was, but in terms of like I don't know. It's hard to look back now because we've won and we're now into the finals, and it feels like, okay, everything is the way it's supposed to be, the way I planned it out. Now we can just focus on playing, but it's mostly, I don't know. You want to stay off social media, but you hear the noise. Right. You hear it, and you're like, I don't want to lose to these guys.
You got guys at work bugging you, asking you all sorts of questions.
Well, I just don't want to. I hate losing when it's like, oh, these guys are unbeatable, and the Delbianco's in net and this and that, and you're just like, fuck off. Here we go. Like, let's get after this. Yeah.
All right. And then you guys did. And so you came out 9-3 victory on Friday night in Bandit Land. And then you travel across the country. And again, this is something that the folks that are listening have enjoyed about our podcast, is just sort of hearing a little bit about that. So Friday night, what do you guys do after the victory? You guys?
Dude, I ate as much food as I could handle because it was just, stomach was still in turmoil.
Yeah.
Drank all the fluids, always the carbohydrate things that, we had the protein shakes made for us. And I went, had a sleep, and then jumped on a plane the next day.
And so Friday night, like everybody's kind of off on their own, or did you guys do like team thing? Like we're all going to a hotel in Buffalo to go to the airport?
They gave us a hotel in Toronto. Yeah. Unfortunately, I got family in St. Catharines, so I stayed with them, and I got my stuff all dried out, and I washed my gear and my clothes, and shout out to my dad for always being that guy to do that for me, man. He jumps on. As soon as I pull in with the car, he opens the door. He's like, "Hey, give me your bag. I'll take that downstairs and wash it for you." So, and he puts the fan on my stuff.
Makes me feel better for doing that for my boys quite often. When I
don't know, he didn't do it for me when I was a kid.
Oh, he didn't.
It was like learn your lesson. Well, he might have done it for me a bit, but it was like life lessons at that point. Now it's like something he can do for me, and I really, really appreciate it, because I'm rolling in tired and cramping, and
that's what we got some late practices and stuff like that. So I'm like, no, boys, you get to bed, and I'll take care
exactly.
of
That's it. It's like something you can do. So he does that for me, and so all the other boys had wet gear, and all my stuff was perfectly dry, and it was beautiful. And then so we flew out early Saturday and got into the hotel, and then that's when we did all our video and meals and team stuff more that day. It was like Friday, just get hydrated, get stuff in you, and then our team is so good for doing this. Like, shout out to Scott and all these guys that organize this, and then that whole training staff. Man, they'd set up this massive room, and just the recovery room, and it was just all these trainers in there, just deep tissue guys and chiropractors and all the athletic trainers and drinks and carbohydrate things, and it was so good. I just spent all day in there.
But not a bad place.
I don't know, this is kind of hurting. You want to kind of rub this a little more?
But you're in there, and you're not in there alone, obviously. So, I mean, all the dudes are in there, and you guys are just kind of all hanging out, and like you got tunes going, or is it conversations?
It's mostly conversations. There might have been music at one point, but we have like these Normatex, these like compression pants things. You got them too.
I love them.
Yeah, so we got those going, and
I wear them for much different reasons.
There's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, you know, you're going to be in those things for an hour, so you're just sitting on a bed, like whatever, just hanging out, talking. You got 3 or 4 of those set up, and this girl Mama Bear comes in, and she used to do deep tissue stuff for she's from Vancouver.
Yeah,
she used to do deep tissue stuff for like Kobe and like basketball players, NBA. She is unreal, man. So she came over for us, and then like Dr. Beck and Matt Meyer and obviously Ryan Rajek and Nikki and Mike and those guys, and it was awesome, man. It makes you feel special too, because you're like, oh, I don't have to hide this little nagging thing. It's like, oh no, they come over, yeah, let's do it. We can do something.
Yeah,
you know, one guy had his ears didn't decompress from the plane, and they're like, well, come over here, let's see what we can do. Like, I wouldn't know what to do. What do you do, yawn? Like, yeah, right. But they were like rubbing and doing all that stuff, so it was
that's
cool.
Great. And so then feeling great heading into Sunday. I mean, it was a 6:00 Eastern start, so it's like 3 p.m. out there. Or no, sorry, 9:00 Eastern start. So 6:00 out there.
Yeah,
I'll get the time changes.
No, but that was good though for us, right? Because if you push it back to that 7:30, 8:00 sort of starts. I know they don't do that, but when we played in San Diego, it was like a 7 or 7:30 start, right? And it's 10:00 or 10:30 for you back home. You're like yawning before the game.
Sure.
That kind of worked for our advantage, I think, too. Like it kind of evened it out a bit.
Well, I mean, they did talk about it on the broadcast because, again, like by the time the game's ending, it's almost like midnight our time here. But, I mean, for young guys and athletes and stuff like that, that's a little bit in the sweet spot, isn't it? Sometimes, like when you guys think about how you're feeling after a game here, you're not going to sleep for another few hours after a game. Like, it's not that big of a change, was it?
No, I felt like it wasn't that big of a change. And you're preparing for that sort of all year, right? It's like, how do you judge what time you're going? You should go to bed during the work week, because you got to wake up at 7 or whatever. But it's like, you know, I know I'm going to be active playing lacrosse until 10:30 at night, so my heart rate's going to be up like that on those Saturday games. So if my circadian rhythm is set to go to bed at 9:00 or whatever, I'm going to be yawning during the game. So it's almost like I need to stay up and keep moving, keep doing things, work out at 7:30 at night, and do that sort of stuff to help prepare you for those games, so you can time it all. But so you got enough sugars and things, and you're all amped during the games anyways. You know, you don't have to worry about it. But you want to crash after, you want to like fall asleep, but your mind is like still going on the game, so you don't sleep until whatever 3 or 4 in the morning. It's crazy. It
is. It's wild stuff. And so you guys feel good. It's a bit of a tighter game, a bit more of I guess what you'd say a typical lacrosse game. Did it feel typical?
A little bit, like not. I guess
you guys are just like, again, historic stuff. 5-4, lowest scoring game in NLL playoff history is your quarterfinal matchup, right? And I mean, I still, when I think about it, get a little bit stressed. And then the next game is 9-3, like almost.
But we didn't expect that 9-3.
No,
you don't expect that. You kind of like that's out of the ordinary, right?
And
like,
so is this what expected?
Well, it's like, you didn't want it to happen.
Yeah.
You didn't want them to score on us.
Right. But I mean, again, you came out, scored 2 quick ones, and it feels like, okay, it's on, and it sort of feels like almost a continuation of the dominance from the Friday game.
Yeah. Everything was going to plan really until the beginning of the third, where they came out and attacked us. And that was out of the ordinary for them. Sure. I know Mouse, Kurt Malosky, their head coach, has been in the media saying like, we need to attack, but they weren't. Right. They were going to the outside and kind of playing that systematic running plays. So in the third, they came out and we were a little bit on our heels, and they came out of the corners like Lowen and these guys. They came flying out and attacked us at 25 seconds in the shot clock. Yep. And it kind of caught us off guard, and they scored 2. So we were like, okay, we need to start meeting these guys like we met San Diego. We need to step up and start meeting them early to put them back on their heels. And we did, and then they went back into their sort of, what they've been doing. And
yeah, because in the long run, if it's not your game, that's you can't necessarily change your stripes mid-game, right?
Mid-game, exactly.
I mean, yeah, they did score 2, but if you keep coming down and burning early shot clocks, that's just playing right into your guys'
exactly.
hands.
It's like, we're going to start stopping this eventually. Yeah. So we did, but that was the part of the game where I was like, uh-oh, like this is the next decision we make is either going to be the decision we make in the next 5 minutes is going to be the difference in the game. Are we going to like collapse and they're just going to keep jamming the ball on us, or are we going to make an adjustment and it's going to work? And we made an adjustment and it worked, so it kind of went back into that nice rhythm that is Buffalo Bandits lacrosse.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I don't want to say win going away, but a 4-1 fourth quarter, that's got to feel pretty nice. Did you have a sense at some point that, okay, we're going back to the championships?
I still hasn't even sat. I don't even know.
5 in a row.
Yeah, didn't even set in yet.
I had meant to, but like, has anybody mentioned, like, has any team ever gone 5 consecutive championships?
Probably early Toronto, like 96 to 2005 Toronto.
But
teams.
maybe only won 3 of those 5.
I think they won.
Because
there was like 10 years there where they won like 5 or 6 championships. Yeah. So I'm sure they went a bunch. Like,
yeah, they must have.
Those early teams were ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know though. Like, I was talking about it with Vino, man. We're like, man, if we didn't have those 2 years in COVID, like this might have been 7 in a row. You don't know. We were still good. And he's like, dude, if we didn't have those COVID years, I would have retired a long time ago. He's like, that was a nice break.
Yeah, sure.
He's like, that was the break I needed. That was like, got me a chance to reset with my family. His kids were reaching an age that they really needed him around. And like, it kind of, really... I'm like, oh, well, when you put it that way, like, yeah, thank you, COVID years.
Yeah, there's the one silver lining from it all.
Yeah, he's still playing. So.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, when you talk about rhythms and everything else, like this has got to feel a little familiar. Another bye week for the Buffalo Bandits.
Gosh, yeah, that played on our mind, man. A little bit was like, oh, we better wrap this up. We better like. All those bumps and bruises, all that stuff that like we better push back right now because it's if we can get this bye week, and it was a guaranteed bye week because the way their schedule worked, that'd be massive for us. I think it will be massive for us. Again, I talk about this all the time. You don't know until something happens, but that's a good chance for us to sort of recover and get the bruises sort of healed up a bit. And fortunate right now that everybody is healthy, and then now it's just bruises that we're healing. With the exception of obviously, Spanger and Matisse and these guys that long-term injuries. Yeah. But yeah, so. And
so, I mean, obviously you're not cheering for one team or the other, but you're cheering for a 3-game series in Saskatchewan and Halifax.
Totally, yeah. That's the end of the day is like you hope Halifax sort of wins that first one, so they go to that third game and let them just play hard against each other and then we'll just whoever we meet because it's going to be a short week for them if they go to that third game because the game's on the Friday, right? So it's going to be a quick turnaround. Hopefully we can use that, but.
And then, I meant to ask this maybe a couple seconds ago, but did you guys have any say into how the schedule's set up? Because obviously they did something very different. The Halifax series is very different. The lower seed got the first home game, and then now that it's 2 back in the higher seed. Like, was that because of the travel? Was that ever a consideration with the Bandits and the Warriors?
Yeah, dude, it was actually crazy. Like. Not necessarily that the players had a say or anything, but our team was able to make scheduling. So It's like they did reach out a bit and to know what we would prefer. At the end of the day, it has to work with the arenas and with the. So I don't know why Saskatchewan decided to do it that way. I don't know for what reasons. Maybe there was a scheduling dispute that they couldn't do. Like Sask but also I don't think a lot of those guys live in Saskatchewan.
Right.
So it would have been a double flight anyways.
Yeah.
So this way it's like
we got everybody together.
Everybody flies to Halifax because I think most of the guys have to fly there anyways. And then now they only would have had like the one flight there, and now they're doing one flight to Saskatchewan for everybody, and they're just staying. Where for us, it would have been if we did it the other way, we would have had to fly to Vancouver, play, and then fly home to. And then everybody would have had to fly home to play the second game in Buffalo on those Sunday.
Right, and again, probably. I mean. Vancouver's got a lot of West Coast guys, but I'm sure they must have a few guys that are from the GTA.
I don't think so.
No,
they're mostly West Coast, right? Yeah. So for them, it would have been one flight in the doubleheader, and for us, it would have been 2, which is a disadvantage. Yep. So we made sure they had the double flight on the weekends there. So yeah, because if we would have done one game on the first weekend and then double this weekend, then it would have been the same thing. So play in Buffalo, win, and then go to Vancouver and you play that first game. If we have to, then it's still a double flight for us. So we tried to avoid that at all costs. And I think we're doing the same thing with the finals because it's going to be Friday in Buff and then Sunday in
Saskatchewan or Halifax. I think probably the family and friends are hoping for Halifax. It's a little bit more of an interesting and a beautiful spot to be on the east coast of Canada in late May. But I mean, that's not to disparage Saskatchewan, because it's a beautiful town all the time, beautiful province all the time. But I mean, Halifax is a pretty unique place.
They just don't want to watch that green carpet anymore. It's Sask lime green.
I mean, when we do talk about things like showing up on the Rogan podcast and showing up on the Pat McAfee thing, and it's getting, I mean, obviously Chase's goal being at the top, and I mean, one of my disappointments is, I mean, seemingly TSN has invested a lot into the lacrosse and is doing a really good job on the games, and then SportsCenter comes and you don't see a highlight from the game, and
it's crazy. I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either. But that green floor in Saskatchewan doesn't help because it sort of then becomes a bit of a joke.
I know, and that's the thing too with some of these new turfs, like the Ottawa turf. I know Ottawa tried to do the drone thing this year, but when you look at like Vancouver, you look at Buffalo, you look at Colorado does it well too. They have a thing.
Toronto.
Toronto. Well, Toronto's hit and miss right now because they're not totally set up. They keep moving, but
their floor is at least.
But they're all like, when you look at all of our stuff, it's like the same camera angle. You're looking at the benches. The color of the turf is the same. Everything's the same. The logo in the middle changes, so it's like it adds consistencies for people's eyes to watch. Like when you watch. It feels like I'm ragging on the league. I hope people don't think that. But when you watch Saskatchewan, you're sitting there going like, I feel like, is this a different league?
Yep.
Like, I don't know what it is.
Well, and it is, truthfully, especially with high definition and everything else now, and big people are sitting in front of 75-inch screens.
77.
It gets hard to watch for that long. Like it's really just that bright.
Yeah, and I thought I noticed that they might have tried to like tune it a bit or something, because I've noticed some of the game recap stuff. The floor looks different, so I wonder if they're putting their like highlights and stuff through like color grading or something, just to like
certainly is possible,
chill it out.
Right? You can do things with technology where they change the signs on the boards and everything else, and you wouldn't notice it.
But it's just bizarre to me that it's like most of the league has the same color turf and the same everything, and then you just see like these new turfs that are coming in, like, oh, we'll do something different, and it's like, it can, if it's going to be different, like when you look at Calgary's turf, they changed their turf, their color, whatever, but like, it still kind of looks the same.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? They went gray or blue or whatever. I don't know what they did, but it's like, it's still, you can kind of sort of tell it's the same like league. Whereas, when you look at Ottawa and when you look at like Saskatchewan, you're like, I don't know what's happening with these turfs. Yeah. It's like, it's tough from like a marketing standpoint.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, well, and from a marketing standpoint, I don't know if it's going to get much bigger than a Halifax, Buffalo, certainly in our neck of the woods, from a marketing standpoint and an exposure standpoint for sort of northeastern box lacrosse, right?
Yeah.
Like just because of the players and the personalities that are involved on both sides.
Everybody on these teams grew up playing against each other.
And now they're all going to play together in the summer on we can talk about that one another
Heat
time.
up, Chiefs.
That's right. Well, there it is. A long anticipated return. Thanks for doing this, Captain. We'll get a couple more in before you head off to your 5th consecutive finals, chasing the three-peat. It's fun to be a part of, even from my limited exposure to it, but you got to be having the time of your life.
Really is. Life is life, buddy.
Well, you're living at the top of it, so congratulations. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Looking forward to being back at this again soon. All right?
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.